Hey Miles, happy birthday. So, as I was thinking about what I was going to do for your birthday video, I realized you're turning 11, which means you're going to be starting Scouts. Now, you're going to learn a lot of really cool things in Scouts. I thought I'd give you a heads up on two things. Number one, fire is not something to play with. I know it's really cool and can be really useful, and it's very tempting to stick stuff in it and burn it all up, but please listen to your leaders when they tell you not to play in it. It's not something to play with. Number two, knives are really cool, and you can do a lot of really cool things with them. Also not a toy, so please be safe. In fact, I'm going to show you. This is my Swiss Army knife from when I was a scout. You can see kind of that it's a little bit warped, kind of messed up. What happened was, one time at scout camp, I had it in a holder on my belt, and when I went to use the bathroom, it fell off of my belt and into the outhouse toilet, which means it fell down into a giant pile of poop. Now, the guys in my troop were so friendly and helpful, they attached a ladle to the bottom of a pole and fished it out for me. And then your grandpa put it into a pot of boiling water to disinfect it so that I could still use it. So, I still have my crappy Swiss Army knife. But don't worry, I've never used the toothpick. All right, now, you're going to learn a lot of really cool things in Scouts about cooking and leadership and all kinds of civic skills. You're going to get personal finance skills. You're going to learn about orienteering, which is how to use a compass. You're going to learn about wilderness survival. You're going to learn about first aid and swimming and sports and the arts. You can get a merit badge in dentistry. Okay, you're going to learn a lot of really cool stuff. However, one thing that the Boy Scouts don't prepare you for, but which I, as your perpetually single uncle, am uniquely suited to teach you, is how to cook for one, which is a skill that you are much more likely to use than knowing how to lash two boards together. So, let's get started. Last time I saw you, I taught you how to make guacamole. Now here's a quick refresher course.
All right, so one avocado is a perfect size for a snack-sized portion of guacamole. But this shows 2 avocados, which gives you just enough for breakfast tacos the next day. So you want 2 ripe avocados. Cut them in half. Remove the pit. Scoop out the innards with a spoon. And you're going to mash them up. You can use a mashed potato masher, or a fork, or a spoon, your hand, whatever. Then, you're going to add some onions, some tomato, a little bit of cilantro. I learned this trick from your parents. Use scissors. It makes it much faster. Mix it all together. And then you're going to add a little bit of lemon or lime juice, depending on what you have. Add some salt and pepper and a chip. You're good to go.
To go with the guacamole, you need chips. And I'm going to show you how to make your very own corn tortilla chips.
To make corn tortilla chips, you need corn flour known as masa. You need some water and a bowl. Now, you can mix it up by adding chia seeds or flax seeds or spices or lime juice or honey, all kinds of different ways, but I'm just going to make some basic flour tortillas for you. The really cool thing about making your own corn tortillas is it's so easy. It's 1 part flour to 1 part water. That means you use the same amount of both. I use about 1/3 of a cup because that makes the perfect snack-sized portion. So you do 1/3 cup of masa, 1/3 cup of water, mix it around, it'll look like this. Form it into balls. Then you can smash it in a tortilla press. If you don't have a tortilla press, you can use a good old rolling pin. It'll accomplish the same thing. You grill it up in a skillet, heat it up to medium-high heat. First one side, then the other. You know when to flip it because the edges curl up. Once your tortillas are done, you cut them into 6 pieces like this. Then you're going to mix together some olive oil with some lime juice. If you don't have lime, that's fine. Olive oil by itself will work just fine. You're going to spread it over the tortilla chips on a cookie sheet. Add a little bit of salt, throw it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. Then you take them out, flip them over, put them back in the oven for about another 10 minutes until they're nice and golden brown and crispy. You're good to go.
If you don't want to get quite that fancy, you can buy pre-made corn tortillas, or you can just buy a bag of chips. Either way, your guac is going to be killer. All right, next up, I'm going to teach you how to make a cake for yourself in less than 3 minutes.
For your birthday cake, this is also super easy. All you need is a microwave-safe cup, like a jar or a mug, a spoon to measure stuff out, and a fork. First, you want 3 spoonfuls of flour. Then, you want 3 spoonfuls of sugar. My sugar looks brown because I used palm sugar because I live in Los Angeles where people are weird. You could just use regular old sugar. Next, you want 2 spoonfuls of cocoa powder. After that, a pinch of salt, a tiny little bit of baking powder. Then you mix all that together with a fork. Next up, 3 spoonfuls of milk. I use 3 spoonfuls here because the recipe says 3 tablespoonfuls, but I just use a regular spoon. If you're just using a regular spoon, you might want to add another spoonful of milk because my cake turned out a little bit dry. If you're using a tablespoon to measure things, then 3 exact tablespoons will work out just fine. Next up, 3 spoonfuls of oil. Mix that all together with your fork, and it'll look something like this. Add chocolate chips. The recipe that I followed said a spoonful of chocolate chips, but this is your birthday cake, so you can use as many chocolate chips as you want. Mix that all together.
Throw it in the microwave for a minute and a half or 90 seconds, same thing.
It'll end up looking like this, but be careful when you take that glass out of the oven because it might be kind of hot.
Hot tip, if you do a Google search for mug cake, you'll find all kinds of recipes for all kinds of flavors. Most of them are going to look much prettier than mine, but I don't care, because they're not made with love.
Right, well, I think the only thing left is to use those killer new Boy Scout skills and safely light your birthday candle. It's the closest thing I had. Happy birthday.